Message that we're getting, isn't it? Now, in other news, a senior member of Iran's parliament has warned they will carry out a threat to close the strategically important Straits of Hormuz if sanctions are used to block its oil exports. He was reacting to the European Union's decision to ban the import of crude oil products from Iran. Western nations are worried Tehran is trying to build a bomb. The nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, says it'll visit Iran at the end of this month. Britain's Foreign Secretary William Hague said Iran must stop defying the UN.
It is absolutely right to do this in view of Iran's continued breach of UN Security Council resolutions and refusal to come to meaningful negotiations on the nuclear program. I think this will also influence the actions of many other nations. It shows the European Union taking a very strong lead in world affairs on this issue. So this is something we strongly welcome and support.
Pressure is clearly being stepped up on Iran. British, American and French warships crossed through the narrow Straits of Hormuz in the Gulf. And our Foreign Affairs correspondent Lisa Holland is with us now, ratcheting up the pressure.
Absolutely. Things really are reaching a crisis point with Iran. There does seem to be a concerted sense of European and international pressure. The intention as far as the EU and America are concerned is that they basically want to get Iran back to the negotiating table. There is a belief amongst certainly British diplomats that when Iran feels like the pressure is really on it, then that's the time when it can get it back to the negotiating table. There haven't been any talks which have included the nuclear program since Istanbul back in 2010. So there really is growing concern about Iran's intentions and particularly about its ability to enrich to 20% uranium at its plant called Qom in Iran.
Okay. Now, the Straits of Hormuz, very narrow, about the same as the Channel.
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz, this is really what's become the flashpoint in all of this. Of course, the Iranians have said that if our oil exports are affected, then they will close the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if we take a look at the map, it is, as you say, a very narrow strait. It lies between Iran and the United Arab Emirates and Oman. Tankers carry 17 million barrels of oil through this waterway every day, which accounts for 35% of the world's tanker-borne oil exports. Now, at its narrowest point, located between Iran and Oman, the strait is just 22 miles wide. And despite the threats to close the route, yesterday the US aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln and a British Royal Navy frigate, the HMS Argyle, and a French warship passed through without incident, but that was yesterday. Tomorrow's another day.
And presumably it would be damaging economically for Iran as well. They use the waterway.
It's a problem. It's not fatal in terms of the Iranian economy, but it is going to create a massive dent for them. Essentially, the EU is Iran's second best customer when it comes to buying Iranian oil exports. It accounts for something like 20% of Iranian exports, second only to China. The idea, of course, as far as the Iranians are concerned, that they'll try and plug the gap by selling off at a cheap rate the surplus to China, India, South Korea and the others. There'll be a lot of diplomatic pressure going on behind the scenes to try and persuade the Chinese not to help plug that gap. It will have an impact. It won't be a fatal economic blow, but it all adds up, that along with attempts to close down the function of the Central Bank of Iran, which is generating a lot of money for the energy sector as well.
Okay, leave it there, Lisa. Thank you.